And here we go. We are live. If you guys in the chat would let me know how my sound is. I checked it beforehand, but I just want to make sure that everything's good. So if you could please let me know, I would be greatly appreciated. All right, and we are starting up. It shows that we are in good health. And let's see. Yeah, Saucin, when are you going to put some content in your channel there, Chief? You know I'll be all over it. One guy, welcome back, sir. Let's see. You know how it goes at the beginning of this. Got to wait for everything to catch up. I have an old gaming laptop that's not too old. It's a few years old that I just need to replace the motherboard on, and then I'll have a decent video card that can render, which would be nice. So right now I've got an onboard, and that's how that rolls. So, you know, rock and roll, Tourette's, welcome. Let me go on to my Instagram and tell everybody that it's live. Let's see. We are live. All right. So, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. It hasn't always been that way. So today has been an up and down day. I was in a good place today, and if you follow my Instagram, you know what's coming. But I had a pretty good day. I was doing good with Semper Cub, and you know, everything was going the way I wanted it to. And then of course, YouTube can't have that. So it decided to throw this song on, which if you actually listen to it when I post it on my Instagram, is simply about a kid who is having to leave his dad and he's afraid. And that sent me into another tailspin and just kind of put me in the mood for the rest of the day. I was like, screw you, YouTube and Luke Combs, bastards. Yeah, I wish it doesn't, Base Texan. I wish that YouTube had a retweet function. If I didn't despise Twitter so much, Twitter's the cesspool of social media. It really is. Like, that's just where a bunch of people scream as loud as they can. Like, what it is two famous people fight, and then a bunch of average run-of-the-mill people just scream into the wind, hoping to get noticed. And I can't stand that. If you ask me personally, Twitter did a lot of damage to an already really disgusting system. Social media, you know, it is like we've been talking about. And I actually think, so I've been discussing with a couple people on, you know, how to move forward with this, you know, merchandising, that type of thing. And so we've been kind of brainstorming. And I think you want the fruit, you can't handle the fruit might become a thing. So we'll see. My mom does embroidery and stuff like that. Like, she makes quilts. That's what she does when she's retired. She has this like ridiculously expensive stitching machine in her house. So I may actually contract her to make some pretty badass hoodies or whatever. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, so that's the way I see the internet. I think the internet is today's knowledge of good and evil. I think it's today's fruit, because I don't think we were ready, or would we ever be ready to handle or wield that kind of information and that kind of communication across our world. I just don't think we were ready for it, and I don't think we ever could be. There's too many bad people on this planet who will use it in a way that has just overtaken it. But by far, Twitter is the absolute worst. And I'm afraid with Instagram that if they did retweets like that, base text, and I think it would make it even that much worse. And that is why I think Instagram is as in check as it is, because you can't retweet, because you can't do anything but post screenshots. You can't even really type outside of the comments. So that's the reason I like Instagram as far as all of the different social media, because it really limits you on what you can and can't do. And I think that keeps a lot of people more in check. So that's just my personal opinion. But Twitter is a cesspool. That is not my opinion. That is fact. So YouTube hurt me today, and that sent me into a spin. But then I looked at last night's stuff, and when I got off the stream last night, no kidding, guys, if you haven't seen it on my Facebook, like no kidding, the second I got off the stream, before this thing even posted, it had 70 views. Like, there were 70 viewers in here last night, and I have absolutely no idea why that happened. I thought Base Texan Bear put up my spotlight and it sent all kinds of people. I have no idea. I still have absolutely no idea why there were 70 people in this chat yesterday. I'm not complaining. I appreciate that, but that kind of put this little thing in me like something's going to happen. Something's coming. And I've been telling you guys that for a while. It's just a matter of time. There's going to be something that sparks this. There's going to be something that just adds a flame. And it's not going to be something I say that's viral. It's not going to be something bad. But I feel it. It's coming. And so let's see. I did that backwards. So this is what happened last night, right? So this morning when I woke up, I looked at it and I said, "Oh my God, I'm almost at 200," which is, I know, laughable. But keep in mind that less than 30 days, or a little over 30 days ago, I had like 2 people on this channel. So that's what it looked like this morning. Well, then Owen decided that he was going to call out some of the community stuff. So he was showing off. And when he first said it, I thought, oh my God, is he going to show a clip? Because that's my thing is look, I know what gets me the most hits. The singing thing with my buddies and me spiraling once I get going. Well, not really spiraling, because it's just me preaching. That seems to get a lot of hits. And it's not something I can replicate. It's not something I can fake. It either happens or it doesn't happen. But if you look at the ones where it didn't happen, there's like 50 views, 40 views, stuff like that. So I know that once, there's a certain amount of exposure, it's going to be a thing. So then Owen gets on and I'm thinking, oh my God, if he plays one of my, like if he plays that forbidden fruit thing, or if he plays, if he plays that when my spirit animal set me off that one time, once I got the diagnosis, if he plays something like that is just, I'll have 2,000 people instantly like that. And so I thought that was going to happen, and then it didn't. But he did mention me multiple times. He mentioned me at the very beginning, and then him, and then also I gotta thank Slapweasel, because Slapweasel kept posting my link throughout the chat. And so once we got off of that chat, this is what it looked like at 5:21 today. So I went from 192 to 226, which is about 45 users, 44 users, somewhere around there. So I got 44 subs just from that one thing. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but those 44 people will have 44 more and 44 more. And then it's just the laws of multiplication. And so now I'm sitting there listening, going, "Oh my gosh, this guy," and we all know Owen. I'm not a fangirl or anything, but the guy's got a huge audience, and he's got a very connected audience. Now, he's got trolls and stuff like that, but he's got a massive audience. And so if Owen lends his voice to me and he puts me out there, then people are going to check it out. And when that happens, it's gonna grow, because we're building. And I say we, because especially all my OGs, that's exactly what it is. You got a lot of you guys have been here from, Sawson's been here from like stream number 1 or stream number 2. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been building it. We've been, going and pushing stuff out. And that is, you guys have absolutely no idea how much that means to me. And so you can look at it and say 45, but guess what one of those 45 are? This guy. The It's Us guy. He's a part of the community. He's got a large following. I was on his Instagram screen, and I didn't know who he was at first. I just saw that it was a name that I didn't know, and so it was like, okay, this guy added me recently. So every single time you guys go on a live stream, I try to pop into him, because that's what we do. We support each other. We support what we like. And so I popped into that and started talking to him. He was like, "Oh, hey, Semper Bear's here." He goes, "Hey, I started watching some of your stuff, man." And again, I had no idea who the guy was. I just knew he was on there. He had his kid. He was being a badass dad, and you know how I am with that. And so I'm like, "Oh, badass daddery." And, I'm typing stuff into his chat. Well, I get off, and and he had said, I put it in my vlog, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go on YouTube and find this guy and sub him," because that's what I do. Any of you guys that do anything on YouTube, if I haven't subbed you yet, DM me. Because that's what we do. We support each other. And so I went to this guy's channel, and I was like, wow, this guy is checking my stuff out. It's only a matter of time until he figures out that I'm 100% dad centric, and that is one of my goals with this thing. And so people like that have reach. And so, yeah, that's going to send this community up. So I and I know it's not proper for a guy to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I cried during Owen's stream today, because that right there is why I do this now. That right there is why Owen mentioning me matters. And I got 1 million of them, guys. And of course, my machine's going to be like, no. But that right there, I've got to make income. I have to make additional income, because she's going to need the therapy. And so this drives me. And I will burn the entire world down for this little girl. I will push and push and push. And so if I need to sit here and scream and yell and speak and be obnoxious as humanly possible to make sure that she speaks, that is exactly what I'm going to do. And so she's my entire world, man. She's a quarter of everything that matters to me in this world. And that face right there, that girl right there, 100% of any monetization I do on this channel is going to go to her. I have a good job. I get paid a good amount of money. I don't have enough money to bring her in a personal ABA person. But I will damn tell you right now that I think I'm good enough with what I do on this stream, that if I get enough exposure and I get the right people to have me on and bring me in, and people see what I'm about and people see what I'm capable of, then I'll be able to give her everything she could possibly need in that realm. So you want to know why I'm on here after work every single day while I'm putting all this stuff in, why I have absolutely zero life outside of this channel and my job and these kids? That's why. You want to know why I cried during that stream when Owen was putting my name out there in front of 6,000 people? That is why right there. And I'm not going to fail her. I won't. And so I am going to do whatever is necessary. And I know you guys, the older ones, you guys are on board. But I will preach until my voice box falls out if that's what you guys want. If that's what gets people in. If that's what generates the income that I'm going to generate. I am going to generate for her. I will learn to play this damn keyboard. I will sing until my voice just completely dies. Whatever it is that's going to build a community that's a strong, connected community and be able to change lives, but at the same time, change the most important life that needs to be changed. So yeah. It may sound like I'm some, excited person that Owen mentioned me on stream, but it goes so much deeper than that. So much deeper. And so in the event that you missed it, and you missed the video that I played when she got diagnosed, and we've known it for a while, but if you missed the section where we finally got the diagnosis and I went off, I'm going to clip that out and I'm going to put it on my channel and I'm going to send it directly to Owen, basically to tell him thank you. Thank you for what you did for me today, because it means everything to me. And I will spill my blood and spill my guts onto this camera as many times as I need to for that right there, wherever she is. And so you want to know where my motivation is. You want to know who I am. You want to know what I'm about. It's that right there. Among the other four. So that is where my day turned into something amazing. Because here's what we are. We're not, I joke around and I bitch about the GameStop guys about all they have to do is work for GameStop and then they get an automatic like 50,000 followers. I've joked about that. But that's paper towel. That's paper towel in a fire. Hey, it burns and it burns hot and it burns quick. And that's all fine and nice, but that's not what I want. I've been clear with you guys from day one that what I want is big ass logs that will burn and burn and burn. Because I think what we're doing here, the reason that some of you guys are here, like Owen was talking on his stream today, he said, we need somebody who can, affect young people, that can change young people's minds and put them in a position to where they want to grow and they want to get married. And my hand went up and I said, that's who I am. That's what I do. And there is no greater honor for me in this world than when you guys post on my Instagram telling me, hey, I took your advice on this, or hey, I was wondering this, or I was hurting in this, and you helped me. That is an honor for me. I look at that and think that is such an incredible responsibility, an incredible gift that I get to speak into people's lives and actually make a difference. Some people go their entire lives and they don't make a difference. But there are individual human beings in this world, specifically my kids, but even further than that, that I get the benefit of being able to have their audience, to be able to speak into their world and to actually take some of the crap that I went through and I hurt because of mistakes and be able to hand it to them and say, here, you don't have to do this. And that is an honor, and it is something that is so humbling to me that I can't even, who the hell am I? I'm a guy in an Iron Man t-shirt sitting in front of an AT4 talking into a snowball that only works about half the damn time. but it works. And people connect with it. And I cannot even express. And then so today was it's that first light. It's that first fire. It's the first hit of the kindling. And it's going to catch a log. And then it's going to get bigger and bigger. And that little girl, this little girl right here, the thing that has captured my heart and soul in a way that I couldn't even ever have imagined, she's going to have a shot. She's going to have a chance. Because I put it out there and I put everything I have, and you guys stick behind me. You guys push with me. You guys help me. And that's what we are. This ain't a me show. I might be the sound and I might be the video, but this ain't just me. Everything that you guys do on social media, all those memes you guys have put together, all of that stuff you put out there, the people, AI sending me the dirty hat gang thing, and I was like, you know what? I think that's a thing, dude. I think that might be something. Like take that hat that Sergeant Peterson hates so much, and turn it into a drawing rendition of it and slap it on something with the name Dirty Hat. I'm good with that. I'm absolutely good with that. And I'll even put a little check mark that says Sergeant Peterson approved on it. I don't care. Anything that is going to give her a shot at a life. I would sell my soul for that woman or that little girl. And I would go back for this little girl, and you will find out, because we're doing story time tonight. It's not gonna be a cute little stream. Yes, the homeless hat. It's not gonna be. Tonight's gonna be a rough stream for me, because we're gonna go into story time, and I'm gonna tell you the worst pain I've ever been through. And I would take what I'm gonna tell you tonight. I would take it all back into me for this girl to be able to have a normal life. And you'll see how significant it is, because it's the only pain I've ever had that literally made me want to put a round through my head. Literally. And I'm glad I didn't have my carry at the time, because I would have seriously considered it. That's how bad that pain was. And it had nothing to do with my wife. And it had nothing to do with her mom. And it had nothing to do with my kids or any of that. It was literally the worst thing I've ever had to endure, to include my son getting ripped apart by a dog in front of me. And we're going to talk about that, because there was a letter on Owen's stream today. And it was a letter from a guy who was asking Owen to help him wrap his arms around spine pain. So you've heard me mention it in passing. The reason that I was 300 pounds was because of that spine pain. When in 2006, when I was driving home from work, and I was stuck in traffic on the 10 for any of you guys in Southern California. And I was just sitting in traffic, and bam, I got hit hard, and I got hit hard from behind. And it totaled the vehicle. And I was okay. I was sore. It felt like I'd been to the gym, felt like I'd worked out. Got out, looked at the vehicle, did all the police reports, all that happy stuff. Got in my vehicle, drove off. I think I did police reports. Was there a police report? Yeah, I think there was. And I drove off. I was all right. The car was drivable, so I was able to get home. And, showed my wife. We went and took pictures, all that happy stuff. And it was all right, Shoulders were sore, neck was sore, back was sore. And then 3 days later, I'm in my office talking to my admin. I was an IT manager at the time for a plant out in City of Industry. I was talking to my admin in my office, and I went from being completely fine to on my knees and not being able to breathe. And what my doctor said was that the disc between my L5 and S1 collapsed. And that started almost 4.5 years of just nonstop pain. And spine pain is an interesting thing. Spine pain is one of those things where you can't see it, you can't really describe it. You don't have any physical ailment, and people just kind of think you're a pussy. In the Marine Corps, we called it malingering. And nobody really appreciates what it is. So, of course, you guys know me. I had to figure out how to explain it. And so I broke it down and said, okay, how am I going to explain what this feels like to people? And for the first 2 years, for the first 2.5 years, I refused to touch any type of drug. And it progressively got worse and worse and worse. And the best way I can describe what kind of pain this is exactly what I titled this stream, which is unending, soul-sucking pain. But it's not excruciating pain. Here's the best way I can describe what this pain felt like. It was all day, every day, of either somebody shoving their thumb into your lower back, or imagine somebody grabbing the base of your spine and just turning their hand like that and holding it there indefinitely for years. That is what it felt like at all times. In the shower, it hurt. It wasn't the acute pain. It wasn't the stuff that took your breath away that hurt. There were times where it was so bad that I may as well have taken my finger and put it down on the table and taken a hammer and slammed it into my hand. Because when it hurts, it freaking hurts. But that's temporary. The pain I'm talking about is this dull, annoying, all the time pain. When you sleep, when you lay down, when you stand up, when you sit, when you stand, when you walk, when you talk, when you shower, when you eat. Every single second of every single day, you have somebody taking your spine and twisting it. You know that feeling you get when your muscles hurt, when they're tired? Well, center it right into your spine at all times. 100% of the time, every single day, for an indefinite period of time. It's never going to end. I refuse to let anyone cut into me because I'd watched other people deal with it. And so, and I'm I'm 5, 6, 7 years out of the Marine Corps, maybe. 2006, I got out in 2001. So yeah, I'm 5 years out of the Marine Corps. I'm still sucking up, devil dog. That's how I am. And so I said, nope, I'm going to stay away from this stuff. And I probably should have. But I got to the point where it was so unbelievably bad. And I couldn't handle anymore. I gave up, and people were telling me, I had about a dozen epidurals and about 230 trigger point injections over the course of 6 years. No, 4.5 years. No, it was 6 years. Because it was 2006 to 2010. And the reason I know I had the spine surgery in 2010 is because that's when my marriage ended. Because I started seeing the person I called my drug dealer now, who was also known as a pain management specialist, who gave me such an unbelievable amount of the hardest narcotics that you can get your hands on to take that pain away. Meanwhile, keep in mind, I'm progressively getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. That spine pain, that pain that I would lay there at night and I wouldn't be able to sleep because it was so uncomfortable. And so I was losing sleep. I was still having to go to work. I was just out of my head. And that pain is the pain that makes you want to finalize things. And I thank God every single day that I have my boys. Because Semper Cub was probably about 8 years old at the time. And there's no way I could have done that to my boys. But if I wouldn't have had that family, and this is what I keep telling you young guys, if I wouldn't have had my boys, I probably would have. I'll just be dead honest with you guys. I probably would have done it. Because it was that bad. So when you hear letters like that, when you hear people talk about their back and it hurting, it's not a joke. It's not something, and it doesn't hurt all at the same time. When they say hurt, when they say pain, they're not talking about I need to lay down, or the cliche of that guy on the golf course that threw his back out and he's and he can't stand up. That happens. But that's not the pain that makes you want to die. That's not the pain that hurts you down to your soul, that sucks the life out of you. It's that constant. Just that constant. All day, every day. And you will do anything to get rid of it. And after I hit my limit. After 4 years, something like that, 2.5 years, somewhere. I don't remember which one it was. I'd hit my limit, and I finally said, fine, I'll go get something to help me with it. And it was better at first. But I needed more and more and more, to the point where just to get rid of the pain, I was popping 5 and 6 pills at a time. And that's why when I talk about this, guys, when I talk about this, I say that God bless me, that I got real freaking lucky, that when the pain stopped, I stopped. Because I had such an inordinate amount of narcotics at my disposal that it wasn't even funny. And in fact, I didn't even like Oxycontin. My drugs of choice were Norco and Percocet. Percocet being the top. That was what did it for me. That's what helped. But the problem is that stuff turned me into a freaking zombie. It managed the pain, but I wasn't the human being that the woman I married signed on for. I was short-tempered. I was out of it most of the time. And I didn't really care to live that much, to be quite honest with you. But I wasn't going to do that because Bunny Galore posted this video the other day of this baby crying with the caption saying that was a reaction of a child whose dad had committed suicide. And it tore my heart in half. It was so hard to watch that kid cry. It was so hard to see the pain in that kid's face that it ripped me open. And that, teenagers, guys who are just getting out, That is why you have a family. That is why you have kids. Because even at the time that everything in this world says, give up, the pain that you have inside you says, give up. And he said that in this letter today. You look at those kids, you look at the people who love you, and you go, I can't. And that is the only reason I'm talking into this mic today. Was because I had a family, because I had kids. Because if I didn't have that, there would have been nothing that stopped me. Hey, I'm Southern Baptist, once saved, always saved. Boom. Done. I'm going to go play golf with the J-Man. How's that for bleeding all over the place? It was a nightmare. And it cost me my marriage. It cost me the time that I was blitzing myself into oblivion with my kids. It cost me so much weight and a lot of work afterward to fix it. But the question is what do you do? How do you handle that? How do you deal with that? See, because about a year before my surgery, I met this guy. And he was a minimally invasive spine surgeon down in San Diego. He went all over the country teaching other people. I'd talked to so many doctors and so many experts, and I'm like, nope, not comfortable with it. Not comfortable with it. I met this guy and I talked to him and I say, you know what? I think this guy's got something. And so I went and I brought him all my scans, and I went and got another scan and got an MRI. And I talked to him some more. And then he rolled out his plan. And then I finally was comfortable to allow somebody to cut. Now, here's the thing with spine injuries. You have 3 sections of your spine. You've got your cervical, which is in your neck. You got your thoracic, which is here on your back. And then you got your lumbar, which is the base where it connects to your pelvis. It goes like this and progressively gets wider as you go down. So where my injury was the biggest place on your spine that you can have surgery on. And I was still worried about it because I saw people with cervical injuries that just went for surgery after surgery after surgery. And I watched them just go through hell over and over and over. And so I refused to for a long time. To be quite honest with you, right now, I wish I would have found that guy earlier and let him do it. Because a year later, after I first met this man, he performed the spine surgery, and I now have a titanium cage with 4 PET screws around the bottom of my spine. And when he looked at the scans after it was done and I was sitting there, he looked at it, he said, I can't say anything for the rest of your spine. He goes, I'll tell you this. He goes, that section of your spine, you can get in a car accident just as bad, if not worse, and that thing ain't going anywhere. And he was right. And I signed paperwork so he could use what he did on me for teaching stuff, because he was that proud of what he did on my spine. And I got it. I'll be straight up. That man saved my life. And to this day, it's been solid. And that was 2010. And it's now 2019, so almost 10 years. And that he's right. That thing hasn't moved. I've been in a car accident since. I almost killed myself at the oil change place because they couldn't get the hood of my Hummer open, and I walked over and I said, here, let me do it. And I reached over and I stepped down, and there was nothing under it. And I went down. Luckily, and I know you guys make fun of me for this, but I was badass. Luckily, I did aggressive inline for the vast majority of my teen and 20s. And so my body had muscle memory on falling. And the way I fell was down on the steps instead of falling backwards. Because if I'd have fallen backwards, the back of my head right here would have smacked right into a piece of steel and it would have been game over. But I cracked a rib and I hit right here when I went down, and it just got to the point where it was back normal. There was a period of time where I thought, oh my God, it's happened again. And I was worried about it for a little while. But it turns out it wasn't that, but it scared the hell out of me, because there are not many things in this world I fear. That pain coming back is the thing in this world I'm most afraid of, because you're powerless when that fear comes, or when that pain comes down. The fact that you can't bail off the skates, intoxicating. And so when somebody talks like that and they start to try to describe how they feel, that's the best way I can describe it. And that's just the low end pain. There would be times where you would work it too much during the day, or you would push a little bit too hard, and then it would just absolutely rip through you to the point where you couldn't even breathe. Because think about it. Every single time you take a breath, your back moves. Think about when you're walking around, when you're sitting there looking at this stream. You know, if you're in your room or if you're driving in a car, just stop and think, what movement could I do that does not involve me moving my spine? Spoiler alert, there isn't. Just breathing moves your spine. And so it's this constant all the time, moving, stability. And the only way that you can combat spine pain is to strengthen your core, to get the muscles that surround your spine bigger. You want to know why I ended up looking like a daggum rock star 8 months after that surgery? It's because I was going to have a damn core that was unbreakable. And I did. And it worked. But it would have hurt so bad for me to do that while I still had that spine injury that I never would do it. I was supposed to walk a lot, and I did. And God bless the woman formerly known as my wife. She tried to make me. She tried to make me exercise. She tried to make me walk. She tried to make me do all that stuff. And what did I do? I bit her head off for it because I was in pain. You want to know where all my preaching about how it's not okay if you're in pain to take your pain and your frustration out on other people? Yeah, I know, because that was me. I'm not just talking smack about other people in my life. A lot of that stuff was what I used to be. So how do you stop yourself from putting a freaking round through your head? Because that's what he was talking about today. You got God. You got your family and your kids. And that's a good enough reason. But don't ever forget, all day, every day, and the longer it goes, and the more, see, I still had a modicum of hope because I hadn't had any surgeries that had failed. And so that is the point at which I disconnect from where that person in that letter was at, because I still at least had hope. But you steal that hope from someone, and again, that's where your kids come in. Because your kids, teenagers, young people, people who don't have kids, those kids are literally hope in human flesh. Those kids are everything that matters to an engaged parent, to a parent who gets it, to a parent who recognizes what these things are, to a parent who isn't so selfish and self-absorbed that they just don't give a shit. And that will keep you moving, and that will keep you going. But if I had to do it all over again, if I had to start back at the beginning, at that car accident, and start the process of the, 4 years, I think? I don't remember if it was 2.5 or 4, but start that process again, I wouldn't have gotten fat, I can tell you that. And I would have pushed through the hard, excruciating pain to build up what I needed to build up. Now, would that have fixed the problem? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I can tell you the fact that I was expanding just by a physics standpoint was making it worse. The bigger I got, the more weight and pressure it put on my spine. So yeah, I would have changed my body then. I would have gone to the gym. I'd have gotten on the elliptical. I'd have dropped the weight. I would have done every single ergo thing that my physical therapist was telling me to do. And probably then some. So I don't know where it is. I don't know if it was in that person's cervical, thoracic, or lumbar. But I can tell you this. I still have the information to Dr. Kim. And if you're in Southern California, he would be the person that you want, because I'll tell you right now, if I ever have another spine surgery, if something ever happens to my spine again, I will fly my happy ass down to San Diego. I got a bunch of buddies who still live there. I will move in with them for a period of time. And I will go to that man and I will pay him as much money as he needs. Because it literally saved my life. It literally saved my kid's life. Unfortunately, it couldn't save my marriage. But there was other damage too. And it wasn't all me. That story is not mine to tell. Mine is the things that I did wrong. The things that I messed up on. And you can go out there and you can do so many things outside of being sedimentary. Because that is when it hurt the worst. It does now. Like I laid, you picked a doozy, Woodchuck. But yeah, I even now. So like, let's talk about what I did this weekend, right? Absolutely nothing. I had a weekend of rest. It was fantastic. I slept most of Saturday. Awesome. And it was just me. I went out and sang both nights. But other than that, and doing my stream on Friday and Sunday, it was just me. And I slept and I laid down and I watched a bunch of stuff I hadn't watched because I was doing the stream, and I blacked out my windows, which is why the light isn't coming through. And I, cut a video for Base Texan. I did all this stuff this weekend because it was just me. But I spent a lot of time laying in my bed. And guess what? After Saturday, my back started hurting because I wasn't moving. And that was on purpose. If you haven't noticed, if you go back and you look at the first videos that I made, you're going to see that I've probably, since Semper Cub has left, I've probably dropped about 10 to 15 pounds. And that's just the nature of the beast. I told you guys that's what was going to happen. But yeah, so I've been going and not getting much sleep, staying up late, running things through my head, where am I going next? What are we going to talk about next? And it just spins. And so I finally got a weekend to where I could sleep that wasn't, with kids or building a tree house or any of that. And I took advantage of it. But by Sunday, my back started hurting because I hadn't moved that much. And you throw a spine injury into that, and you're kind of screwed. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. If you get up and you start moving around, it hurts. If you lay there, it hurts. But in one of those situations, your muscles aren't starting to deteriorate and to go away. And so that guy was trying to figure out what he can do with that pain and how to stop the thoughts and the feelings. What I can tell the person when it comes to never-ending pain is that you can't even entertain that thought. And if you do, make sure you don't have any weapons in the house. Because all it'll take is a bad night. All it'll take is getting up, you're in a fight with your wife, you're in blinding pain, you've been in pain all day, and you just go, screw it, and in a nanosecond it's over. And you can do it with pills and stuff like that too, but you want to make sure that you're taking, weaning off the drugs, not completely off, but weaning off of it, maybe letting your spouse control it, is another thing I should have done that I didn't. Because I needed it. People were telling me I needed it. Doctors were saying I needed it. But did I? Did it really make the pain better, or did it make everything else worse? Did it really make me feel less of it, or did it just blitz me to the point where I was a zombie and I just didn't pay attention to it? Because to be quite honest with you, I can't answer that question. Motrin is the most I've ever had in the last decade. Because I realized once I came out of that haze, what it had done to my life and what it had done to my marriage. And it's toxic. But I can tell you, guy who was in the letter, that I absolutely appreciate the pain that he went through. That I absolutely appreciate how devastating, how soul-sucking it is. How it eviscerates every piece of your soul. Because it does. Never-ending pain is the worst. See, I always had this theory about hell. Because you've got the... the lake of fire and all that stuff, everything that the Bible says. But see, here's the thing. There is this kind of break in how does a loving God handle hell? Because you're looking at the concept of torturing someone. So here's how I always saw it coming, and I can back this up biblically. Hell is not a place, at least biblically. Hell is very simply this: separation from God. It's what it is. And I think during judgment, people who don't know Christ, people who don't love Christ, are going to choose to be separated from God. Because being in the presence of God is going to be more painful to them than being separated from God. And what happens when you're separated from God? Chaos. You get exactly the things that we're seeing in this world, in this country right now, just turned up to an exponential level. What happens when you remove good? What happens when you remove hope? What happens when you remove all of that? You know what happens? Unending and never-ending pain, which is what the Bible talks about. But that will be mercy to the people who despise purity, who despise God. Because if you haven't noticed, every single time God showed up in the Bible, people hit their knees and shielded their face because they are still covered in sin. What happens to somebody who's horrible when they get found out and everybody in the world knows? What happens? They recoil. They go into the dark. There's a reason these people stay in the dark. There's a reason that these people fear the sunlight, fear visibility, fear transparency. because it is awful. There is a reason that you're atheist types that get up and jump up and down and scream and yell and they have this visceral hatred for God, and they don't want it in the schools, and they don't want their kids hearing about it, and they don't want to hear about it, which is fine. But what the hell do you think it's going to feel like when you're in front of Christ? Because my purity doesn't even come anywhere close to what it's going to be like to stand in front of God. It is going to be physically painful, and it will be mercy to send you there. And you're going to go and you're going to be cast down somewhere. I don't know if it's where we're at right now or somewhere else. And you are just going to exist without God. What happens in places that exist without God? Watch some dystopian future. And look at the people who have money and power and fame now. Yeah, they may rule things. They may have power. They may be able to wield that power, but they're miserable. And there's going to be a whole horde of people there. So anybody who tries to exercise that power, yeah, they may stay there for a while, but they're going, and you die, and you die, and you die, and you die, and you die. But it's a hell of a lot better than having to be in the presence of Christ. That's my theory on heaven and hell, by the way, in case you wonder. It's not going to be some torture chamber where there's a bunch of demons nailing you to something or God's torturing you. It's not going to be that. I don't believe that at all. I can't tell you it is or it isn't, but it does make logical sense based on who God is and who I know God is. But that's the worst thing when they talk about hell. That is what the Bible says is the worst thing when they talk about hell, is unending pain. That's why I call it soul-sucking pain. Because it just goes on and on and on. And when you're in the middle of it, it feels like it's never going to end. And if you put that in your head and you convince yourself that it's never going to end, then you are that close to making it. And that's awful. Because it's not worth it. Because there is a kid who looks at you and loves you. And if you don't have those, you have parents. I'm not supposed to bury my kid. And I better not have to. As a parent, I don't even know what I would do if I came home and one of my kids had killed themselves. It upsets me just the concept of it. And just because you're old, it doesn't make any difference. Because I was fine today. I was fine when I got up this morning. I was fine going to work. I was laughing. I was sending messages to people. It was a good morning. It was a good day. I got to work, and about noon, something came through my ears that just punched me right in the gut. And why? Because one of my kids had gone. And I still haven't seen him. I talk to him a lot. And that's how it works. You get a little bit better and you think you're okay. By the way, we're going to do something on that very soon. I was going to do it today, but then that guy in that letter it spoke to me, and it was like, okay, it's time. But you get to the point where you think you're okay, and then boom, something knocks it back. And a lot of people quit after that. A lot of people get that person who does surgery on it and it doesn't work. Fine, it doesn't work. Do it again. Find someone else. DM me and I'll give you my guy's information. Figure it out because you have to. Because you have people rely on you. You have people who love you. And teenagers, you have a whole lot of life to live. And where you're at now, the place you're in now, the people you're around now are not the people you're going to live to be around 10 years from now, 15 years, 20 years. I was miserable in middle school. Absolutely miserable. I was undersized. My personality, this was not in check. And so I would go around like a crazy person all over the place. And people would laugh at me. And people would ignore me. And I hated middle school. And then I fast forward to me in my 30s. And then all of a sudden, Facebook, people are, oh, you were so amazing. Oh, I remember. And then they have all these stories about what they remembered me in middle school. I'm like, why didn't you tell me then? I needed you to then. I don't need you now. Every single person has issues in high school and in middle school. Whether you think they do or not, they do. And you have a whole life ahead of you to live. And so no matter what you're going through, don't go there. Don't do that. You will eviscerate your parents. And some of you, I have a kid your age. And my God, look at me. Look at me with just him moving. Could you imagine if he died? Could you imagine what I would be if he died and I couldn't text him and I couldn't FaceTime him? You can't. You can't do that to your parents. You can't do that to your kids. I'm not just going to throw you a hotline and say, if you're thinking about it, no, fuck you. Don't. It's not worth it. You have value. You have people who depend on you. There are people like me, people who have gone through way worse shit than I have, that 22 a day kill themselves. 22 of my brothers. And it's not okay. And this is coming from someone who actually considered it. But you can get through it, and you can have a life, and you can figure it out, and you can make it to where you can either learn to live with it, get it to the point where it's tolerable, or just keep on going and not give up. Surgery, 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 surgery. Who cares? Sorry, Calvin. Who cares how long it takes? Who cares how much work you have to put in? Because you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for the people who look at you and they love you. You're doing it for the people who look up to you. You're doing it for the people who want to be like you. And so you push. And so you listen to somebody who royally screwed it up when he was going through it. And you look at all the stuff that he looked back and analyzed and looked at. And said, I should have done this. And I know I could have done that. But I didn't think I could. And I didn't want to, because I was wallowing in my own self-pity and my own pain that was warranted. And I lost a lot. I lost a lot through that. My entire world and belief system shattered when my marriage went down. But I endured it. I lived through it. I found somebody who could fix me. I went to the gym. I put in the work. I busted my rear end. And I'm healed. I'm better. Not just mentally, but physically. And I'm strong now. In every aspect. And then that spine pain, although I can feel it right now, because that's what my brain does. It manifests crap. I can feel it. I can feel my cage right now. I'm never going to forget it. But it's now put in my arsenal of how I can speak to people. Because for my military brothers and sisters who've seen some shit and they don't know what to do, for the people who are in emotional pain and they don't know what to do. The middle schoolers or teenagers who were like me, who are currently like I was then, I had no one. You can grow out of it. You can push through it. There is a life. I have amazing kids. I got to be a part of an incredible marriage. I got to love a woman who is absolutely unbelievable in my little guy's mom. And I got the privilege of being a dad to my little guy and being a spirit animal to this thing. And I get the privilege to fight for her. And I get the privilege of knowing that I'm going to do every single thing in my power to make sure that she doesn't hurt, that she doesn't need, and that she gets the best of everything there is to get. That is why you survive. That is why you live. Because she wasn't even almost a human being when I actually was considering it. My youngest son was not even born when I was considering it. And what kind of life would he have if I never existed? What kind of life would she have if there's only one person she really connects with instead of two? Who's going to fight for her? And so if you have a her or if you have a him, you stop and you look at that. You look at that right there. Who's going to fight for her? Who's going to fight for him? Who's going to stand up and show that boy of yours or that girl of yours how to be a man, how to be a woman? Because you won't be able to if you're gone. You won't be able to if you don't try. If you don't keep moving forward, if you don't keep pushing on, you cannot quit. You hear that? You hear that, dads? You don't get to quit. And moms, and especially the single moms, you don't get to quit. You push and you push and you push and you push and you push. You go forward because that's all you got. But not only will there be nobody to protect that kid, to teach that kid, you are going to rip open a scar that is so big and so bad that they will have to push and push and push to get through it. So that's not an option. And so whatever you need to cling to believe, and I say their faces, I say their life, who they're gonna be, do not lose hope in fixing it. Do not lose hope that you're not gonna be able to get past those dreams. The sounds. That day that lightning struck something and I turned around like that. The nightmares. Being uncomfortable around people, being uncomfortable in crowds. When you force yourself to be in a situation that you're totally not uncomfortable because you're doing it for your kid, and then you end up having a panic attack and have to walk out of the building for a few. You push and push and push. And it's not easy. And there's fear there. But you're a man. And that's what you do. And that's what you hold on to because you are the example for everything that is good in their life. Men, you are the example for your kids. You are the example of strength. You are the example of security. You are the example of honesty and integrity. And you blow all that out the window. So if you're not at the point where you care about yourself anymore, then you damn well better look at the people who depend on you. Because they need you. And not just financially. They need you. They don't need somebody like me who turns out to be the damn kid collector. They need you. So you've got to keep pushing. You've got to find somebody. And I swear to God, if you DM me, I will send this guy's stuff to you. I have the best back brace money can buy. You want it? It's yours. Guy who wrote the letter. Whatever you need, move around, walk, work your core. If you put on weight like I did, drop it. Get rid of the weight, put on the muscle. Protein, 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 protein. And it's going to suck and it's going to hurt, but what are your kids worth? What is the health and life of the people you love worth? Because if I would have known, if I would have had somebody who would have stood up in front of me and screamed and yelled at me, my outcome may have been different. I wouldn't have my spirit animal, and that's not okay. So I wouldn't go back and change it. But I will tell you this with 100% impunity. Impunity? It's not the word. Certainty. Let's call it certainty. I would take that spine pain back. For her to not have to go through what she has to go through. I would take it back. Like that. That's how important these things are, guy in the letter. That's how important the people you love are, guy in the letter. So if that's the way you need to look at it, then fine. You're taking the pain so they don't have to go through it. Push. Push. Because I've been healed for a decade now, and I would take it back in a nanosecond. Just so she doesn't have to go through the things that she has to go through. I would take 1,000 MMRs for her. And that is your answer, my friend. You push because of them. You fight because of your parents, because of your wife, for other people because of your husband. You fight and fight and fight and push and push and push. And then one day when you're healed, when you're over it, when you've got it to a point where you're tolerable, when you are seeing your kids off to graduation, when you are on some family reunion with your parents and you're mobile and you can move and you figured it out, then you get on a damn stream and you talk somebody else into doing what you did. Because you're worth something. If you can't tell, this bothers me. Because I have friends that aren't here anymore, who couldn't deal with it, who couldn't handle it. Damn it, Owen. You fight, and you fight, and you fight. And you don't look at whether God's going to forgive you or not. You don't look at the Catholic thing that says the biggest mortal sin is suicide to stop you from doing it. You fight because it matters. Because they rely on you. Because there are people who love you. And there are people who will not ever be the same again if you're gone. And there is no amount of pain on this physical plane that should stop you from this. Nothing. And so that is your reason. The answer is anything that keeps you moving, anything that keeps you going forward. And yes, it's going to suck, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be hard, but it will be worth it. It'll be worth it when your kids stand up and say, you know what? My dad has gone through so much shit, but he did it for me. And you're going to have strong kids that understand what it's like to sacrifice and understand what it's like to endure and push through pain. And you're teaching them that through what you have. Through what you're going through right now. And some days you're not going to want to do it. And some days you don't want a kid jumping on you or crawling all over you. Some days you don't feel like talking and hanging out with your wife, but you do it anyway. Because we're men, and that's what men do. And if you hurt, talk about it. Talk about it to your wife. Talk about the hurt with your kids. Explain to them, what do you do? I hurt, but you know what? You're more important to me than that hurt. You're more important to me than anything. And I will let nothing stand in my way of being your dad. I will let nothing stand in my way of loving you. And if that's not enough, that's not an answer. Because it is. And if you don't feel it's enough, then find it. Look into your kids. Because the more you connect with them, the more you're going to realize it's worth it. And go to your physical therapist and say, give me the exercises and the stuff that I need and the braces and whatever else it is that I need to strengthen my core, to strengthen what's wrapped around that area of your spine that is killing you. And then go do the work. P.S. It freaking hurts. I was on a treadmill. Well, not a treadmill because, God, I couldn't run. I was on an elliptical all the time, and it hurt. It was ergonomic. It worked. But I had to drop the weight. That was number one. And it sucked real bad. And I was coming off of heavy narcotics. And I was coming out of a separation where my entire world had fallen apart. And then I was coming off of watching my son get mauled by a pit bull and having to pick his face up and putting it back on my body. And all of that, I'm pushing through the pain, pushing through the pain, pushing through the pain, pushing through the pain. It can be done. It freaking hurts, but it can be done. And you may never get rid of it like I did. But if you get your core strong enough to put that stuff in place, if you get the muscles around it, it'll be less movement. It won't hurt as much. But there is something to do. And any doctor that tells you you're screwed and there's nothing left to do, that's a crappy doctor. So you go to the next one. My DMs are open. My Instagram is Semper, just like my YouTube. So if you ever see this guy in the letter, DM me. I'll verify it with Owen or get base texting to verify that it matches, and I will do whatever it is that you need. You want to talk about it? You want somebody who understands what kind of pain you're going through? I'm there. You want my spine brace? I love that thing, but I'll give it to you. You want that guy's info? You want me to personally call him? I will. But you're gonna push through this, and you're gonna do it for these guys right here. And you're gonna get better, and you're gonna have a story. And you're gonna be able to stand up in front of your kids and other people and tell them how you pushed through it, how you leaned on God, how you leaned on your family, and that you didn't quit. And you vets, you're going to push through it so you can heal, so you can help other vets. Because their loved ones, they don't understand. They don't know what it feels like to be separated from that, to be separated from your brothers, to be in a situation where everybody's in the freaking green zone when you're rolling around in red. They don't get it, but you do. So heal and then help somebody else. Give them the reason. Show them the reason. Because one's too many. 22 are way too many. My ERG group, I'm the chair of my company's employee resource group for our vets. And they just turned everything over to me and gave me a person to work with. And I'm going balls to the wall. I sat with that lady the other day and I said, look, I'm not playing a game. We got people in coding. We got people in finance. We've got people in billing. We've got people in HIM that are all a part of this group. I want to go to the VA hospital and I want to sit down and help them work through the paperwork, understand their billing, understand the coding, understand how to do the paperwork, because they need it. Because the last thing you need when you're considering suicide is to sit down and do a bunch of paperwork for somebody who has so much crap going wrong like the VA does. We can make a difference in that because we are in positions to where we understand how healthcare works. So let's do it. Let's give people an identifier when they come into the hospital that lets everybody know that they're a vet. So when people walk by, they sit down and have a conversation. Let's send one of our Army guys when there's an Army guy in here. Let's send one of our Marines, which I'm the only one. Actually, we just got 2 more. Let's send one of the Marines in to talk to the guys that are Marines that are in the hospital. Why not? Let's do it. And it's not because we just want to have the coolest employee resource group on the planet. No. I mean, that's part of it. Now I'm in competition with other hospitals. But that's not the reason. The reason is to make sure that the people that we relate to and the people that we understand are taken care of on a level that goes so far above healthcare. And that's what you do. Vets, you get healed and then you go help other people heal. Because we don't leave our buddies behind. You grab his gear and combat drag his ass to wherever you need to go. But you got to be strong enough to do it. And so push. Find your reasons. Because they're worth it. You're worth it. Nobody's worthless. Well, pedophiles are worthless. But people aren't worthless. People can be evil. But you certainly aren't. So, sorry guys, I didn't read anything in the chat. I told you it was going to be a hard night. So yeah, that's my feelings on that subject, and that's my advice. So again, guy who sent Owen the letter. If you need resources, let me know. We'll find out where you're at. I work for a pretty large hospital. I've got resources too. So I've been there. So you're more than welcome to DM me. Oh, all right. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Sorry, guys. I told you it was going to be intense tonight. I don't like that story. I don't like showing my weakness. It's a Marine thing. Let's see. Wow, I missed a lot. So, all right, guys. I think we're gonna keep this one at an hour and a half. That way it's digestible for people. So I'm gonna try to go back to normal. Right, Major Victory. I did promise I'd never cry on stream, but I think it was a worthy thing, and that was more of an anger cry than anything else, and a pleading one. Well, you will. I've seen you, kid. And if you're not, I'll still be streaming. I'll smack you upside the head. But yeah. So yeah, we'll keep it at a digestible level. I promise you we're going to go back to normal, which I guess this is new people. This really isn't that much different than normal. It's just we have a little fun before and after. It's not usually this intense the entire time. Well, yesterday's was too, but I'm telling you, it's not always like that. But there's usually about a good 40 minutes where I launch into whatever the hell that is. So, but yeah, so eventually Steve Pender and I are going to get together and we're going to do one together. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I guess as I'm getting bigger, I should probably start watching my language, but some of it's for effect. Maybe I'll do what everybody else does and just bleep it afterward. But I thought I was okay with it for the most part today. I went overboard the other day. So yeah, young guys, ladies, gentlemen, us old people, push. Just push through it. And that's the answer to anything. That's the answer to anything you deal with. Just push. Push and keep moving. Because when we went on hikes in the Marine Corps, or as we called it, humps, but I don't want to get all the innuendos at the bottom of my chat. But when we went on humps, or when we went on long runs, or we had to run up back a recon, or I had that AT4 strapped to my pack and we were just walking, you had to push. You know what the worst times were? Drop your gear, take 15. Because then your feet would go unnumb and the doc would run around with moleskin. But once you took that boot off and you put that moleskin on, when you put your foot back in that boot, you could feel everything that you couldn't before. And so it made the starting off suck even more. So you push and you push and you push and you push and you keep going and you don't stop. You don't stop until you get where you're going. And that works for everything. Except for that, Andrew. Don't do that. Don't push and push and push when you're dealing with that. But that's what you do, guys. Push. And you keep pushing not until you can't push anymore, because there's always more than you think there is in the tank. You push and push and push until there's nothing left to push, because you beat it all and you've pushed through it all. So if you want to keep up with what I do outside of this, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but I'm never on it. My Instagram is filtered at work, so I can't get to it. So it may take me a while to respond when I'm at work because it's only on breaks. And people like AI and Jessica and Saucin and Saucin, you're not on Facebook or Instagram. See, what's the other guy? Papa J Bear. People like that, they all know that it's hit or miss until the evening. So yeah, keep pushing. Don't stop. And that's something you can apply across the board. But for the love of God, if you're wondering whether you want to do it anymore, the answer is yes. And look towards the floor. And there's a couple little faces that are going to look back. And that's your reason. So I'll read everybody's comments in the when I watch this through tomorrow, because I always watch my stuff through. But I read the comments when I watch the stuff through. So if I see something that I need to address or whatever, I have been known to put it in the chat. So please start liking this stuff. Support all our other people. Tourette's Bear, Steve Pender, Come Correct. It's us. Of course, Owen. I'm forgetting some. Sing Along Bear. Support our people. And I'll tell you what, on this specific one, and probably everyone, I'll just put it in there. I'm going to put everybody's link in my description for all of our content people. So go and support them. Go all up and down their stuff and just hit like on it. Let's get these people out there, because Tourette's is really good. She's done 2 streams and they're both been really good. And Inspector and Mike, Inspector 89 is his Instagram, but Inspector and Mike, they're great. They don't do as many as I do, but they're awesome. And so make sure you go through, like their stuff, because the more likes we have, the more you guys share it, the hotter these logs are going to burn. And then there's going to come a day where it catches them all. And that's what we do. We support our people. We support our community. We support what we love. There's several people that I throw $5 a month at, to include Owen, because we support our community and we support what we love. So right now it's just likes, guys. So hit it, share, put people on your social media. Say, have you heard this freaking guy yet? Have you heard this girl yet? Have you heard these 2 goofy bastards who I love dearly, Dirty Mike and the Boy? And put it out there. And if any of you guys have the ability to do something like this, then bring it. Put yourself, it's not as hard as you'd think, and I'll help you out. But that's what we do. We rally, we support, we love each other. So let's do that. But I'm going to get out of here and go collect myself. So I will see you tomorrow, and I will try to make it far less intense as it was tonight. But sometimes we need intense, guys. Somebody needed to hear that, and not just the letter guy. Somebody who's listening needed to hear that. And so whoever you are that isn't talking about it, hear that. And letter guy on Owen's stream, hear it. That's everything I got on that subject. So love you guys. See you tomorrow.